And I watched them yesterday blow a lead to a very average team, the New Orleans Pelicans. And my takeaway is this morning the Celtics are 6th in the East. Their roster doesn't have a legitimate big. Kemba Walker's deteriorating physically, and they don't have enough good players.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. This is episode number 1 of the GRD Paincast. This is no longer a podcast. We're going through pain, talking about the Boston Celtics. We got Reid, Jake, and myself. We're chopping it up about all things Boston Celtics. We got 5 quick topics tonight. We're going to go through them real quick. First one, most recent game. Let's jump right into it, Reid. Start us off. What do you think about the last game versus New Orleans?
Well, first off, I'm just going to say I'm someone who's made a lot of mistakes in my life, both big and small varieties. But I think the biggest one I've ever made was becoming a sports fan, and that was apparent last night. Because days like today and post-game like that are just the worst. Oh, God.
I could add to that, bro, and I will definitely let you know what I did to watch yesterday's game and all that.
Oh, I work on weekends. I'm a waiter at a restaurant, and we got hit with a big rush. So the last I looked at the TV, we were up like 77-55, I think it was, in the third quarter. So I was like, all right, a 22-point lead midway through the third. Like, ideally, you think we'd team like the Boston Celtics could hold on to that. Check back in. I think with like 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, we got like a 3-point lead or so, and I knew it was a wrap from there. I didn't watch it again until the end of it. I think it was like overtime when like Zion got like that and one back down on whoever that was.
Mm-hmm.
Just an ugly collapse.
You want to talk about a team that quit yesterday and an embarrassment to the city of Boston? Look no further than the Boston Celtics. That was an embarrassment to watch. I was sitting there in my couch downstairs in my living room, and I was embarrassed. I mean, look at some of these stats. Points off turnovers. The Celtics had 19 points off turnovers heading into the half to New Orleans 0. And it ended the game with 21 points off turnovers for Boston and 12 for the Pelicans. And it gets even worse. We blew a 24-point lead. 24-point lead midway through the third quarter. And you lose in overtime. Zion was a monster in the second half. I mean, I thought Thompson did a great job on him in that first half. And all of a sudden he just got going, and Stevens just was like, yeah, okay, whatever, he's going. Like, he was already out of it. I don't get that. He was already gone. He was a non-factor in that game, and we let him back in. And Zion Williamson, the guy's an absolute beast. I mean, you can't look at that guy and tell me that guy can't play. He's amazing.
He started taking the ball up. They changed up their game plan, and that screwed us all up. Brad Stevens didn't know what to do.
Once that guy gets inside the paint or inside the three-point line, you might as well just get out of the way and let him dunk, because you can't stop him. He is so good in the paint. And it gets even worse, too. I just feel like
worse than that.
It gets worse because this game, like, if you look at this team after yesterday and said, we're contending for a championship, I'm going to slap you across the face. Because this team, we're barely a playoff team. We're a 500 team. I don't care who's out. I don't care who left. We are a 500 team. 500 teams don't make the playoffs. They're an 8 seed. We're going to be playing in the play-in game at this rate. That's embarrassing. And you know, it gets even worse, Corey.
Jake, last time I checked, the 8th seed does make the playoffs.
It's a playoff team, though, barely. Sometimes 500 teams don't even make the playoffs.
I'm just messing around. You're steaming. Yo, you're steaming now. And a lot of the things you're saying, I really do agree with. And keep going. Get it all out. Let's go. Let's hear it.
I got one more I want to bring up.
We talking about this last game in this first segment right now.
And then this is the worst part. Yesterday's loss. You want to talk about a team that's bad? Let's talk about Tankathon. If you go on tankathon.com, they keep track of all the lottery picks, all the picks and the tanks for all the teams in the playoff matches, right? We currently own, with our own pick, not Brooklyn's, not Memphis, not Portland's, our own pick is currently pick 17, and we're 3.5 losses out of the 4th overall pick. 4th overall pick, 3.5 losses out of it. That's ridiculous. You think this team's winning a championship? You're delusional.
I mean, maybe it's the Boston Celtics fans setting high expectations after being in the Eastern Conference Finals 3 out of the last 4 years. Like, maybe everything lined up for them to have a down year as Gordon Hayward declined his option and went elsewhere. He didn't want to be a part of this. And if you look back at it right now with this TPE, I feel like he's the only guy I think that will fit best in this situation that we need. It would never happen, but that's literally what we need. We need a guy that can shoot the ball and play defense. The Boston Celtics, bro, yesterday was like a reality check. So I will share my little personal story. Are you done yet, Jake, or you had a couple more points?
I'll save the rest for later on the show. I am furious at the Celtics team, to say the least.
Okay, so first things first, yesterday I had a couple family members over. It was just like nothing much, but my two little nephews were over here, 4-year-old and 7-year-old. And literally they like joke around with me because they know it gets me mad when they say the Celtics stink, whatever. But in reality, like, they just like to love being like me. So they like to wear all my clothes, all this Celtics stuff. So yesterday they were over, 3:30, perfect time to watch the game with my family. The Celtics started the game playing crazy, and my nephews were making fun of them, whatever, but you couldn't make fun of the way they were playing. I think that was like one of the best first halves I've watched all season. They were killing it on all cylinders. I was very impressed with the way Jason was playing. Jalen, he didn't really have the shot, I don't think, but anyways, the boys, they were just making fun of the Celtics, but the Celtics could do no wrong. Then in the second half, they started rooting for the Celtics because they were doing so good. And then we literally watched them collapse in a game like that where it meant a lot because these little kids don't watch many games, but they're with me for that whole game. They witnessed a 24-point collapse. That's absolutely embarrassing as an uncle that's trying to introduce them to a sport. I wanted my team to do good and captivate the kids. Instead, that was the worst game to watch with them, a 24-point blown lead. Unacceptable. I'm not happy.
Yeah, I think you touched on it. You touched on in your beginning of your spiel saying that was one of the best first halves you've ever seen. Like, I talked to Jake off pod, like, when this team is clicking and they're right, like, they look really good and they look like the contender that they're made out to be in those stretches. But then on the other side of it, like, those collapses are extremely ugly. And I think I'm not trying to like chalk up any fake narratives, but this bench is extremely inexperienced. Like, you got two rookies in Pritchard and Neesmith who got drafted back in like October, November, and then had like a month and a half before they stepped on the floor in an NBA game. Granted, it looked like Pritchard kind of found his footing right away. It took Neesmith a little while, but I think he's starting to come around a little bit. But I've seen like individual improvement from those two and guys like Robert Williams who look ready to get a bigger role in this team. I said before the season that Robert Williams needs to be our starting center by season's end, and I think that time might be coming up sooner than later. But I just think that the best thing that we can do is just I don't play for the team. I don't know if you guys knew that. That the team can do is just keep improving as the season wears on. Like, we're approaching the halfway point, and this is still a very young team.
There's something wrong with this team, like in the organization. It's
I'm not denying
players.
that.
And you know, I've been saying this for a while, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're just trying to push a narrative."
Before I forget this, never mind. Keep going.
I mean, you know, people tell me, "Oh, you're just pushing a narrative for content for the podcast. You're pushing it." And I'm like, "No, I think there's something there." And now it's coming out. The Chris Gaskins of the world, the Gary Washburns. These are guys that cover the team, very close connections to the team, and not only in the the front office, but also the coaching and the players a little bit. They have connections to the team, and they're saying the players are tuning out the coaches. There's problems in the front office with all the teams. There's so many things wrong with this team, and there's something underlying.
Dude,
hey,
don't
Jake.
mistake their opinions for real reports, because look at those reporters have just as many tools in front of them as we do today. Like, dude, they're not getting inside scoops from these players. Every time they talk to the players, it's on video on Zoom, and there's Celtics representatives right next to the players. Like, these players don't say no inside info. So all of that shit is, I don't believe it at all. Like,
these are guys that have been.
I know who those guys are that you're talking about, but it's still their opinion that oh yeah, I watched the Celtics too. Sometimes they look like they tuned out the coach. In my opinion, I think we all need to take a step back and realize, like, bro, maybe this season is not as important to these guys, and maybe they're waiting until the playoffs to go on all cylinders. Like, they don't care what seed they are, I feel is like they're just going to get the one they're dealt. And either way, that's like another point of the podcast. I literally only asked you guys to talk about the New Orleans game, and you got us talking about digging our own graves right now. All right, let's go. Number 2 on the segment. Let's talk about the bench real quick. What are you guys' opinions on the bench? Talk to me.
Well, I said in my spiel before that I think it's a very young bench aside from guys like Tristan Thompson and Jeff Teague. But, I mean, I'll get a nitpick here a little bit. Like, you got guys like Grant Williams, who is a DMP one night, and then he'll get, like, 18 to 20 minutes another night. Like, the highs of him are he's improved a bit as a shooter, but he just doesn't have much touch, and it hurts him that he's an undersized big and doesn't really have a real position on the floor where you can't really play. He's just unplayable at times, plain simple. I'm a big fan of the Jeff Teague DMPs. I think those need to keep coming. I don't want to see him on the floor at all. I think Pritchard's ready for the bigger role outside of.
If anything, let him go out there and try to get his value up, because that guy is not even worth getting thrown into a trade right now. People ain't going to want that $2.5 million.
No.
But if you ask me, I feel like that's the reason why he's still on the roster. He's going to get thrown into a trade.
Easily. It's just like it's the young guys I was talking about, like Williams, Neesmith, Pritchard, like those guys. Like, you just got to, if you believe in them and their upside, like, you just got to keep like building them up on the fly. And that this is just a tough time and a price you got to pay for these young guys who are like 20, 21, 22 years old.
Yesterday they went that 9-man rotation again, which I like. I think the bench needs to be cut down. Don't put in Tremont Waters, Carson Edwards, all those guys. Don't put them in. Grant Williams is another guy that just aggravates the living hell out of me. Sometimes I watch him play. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing, man? You look at him play sometimes, and you're like, have you ever played basketball before? I think going back to that Washington game, there was, people keep saying the Celtics need more ball movement. They had 14 assists in that game. Move the ball more, get more assists. Block, the whole spiel, right? Jaylen Brown says, okay, sure, let me pass the ball to Grant Williams. It was a solid pass. Don't tell me it was a bad pass. Makes 2 solid passes. One of them goes through Grant Williams' legs because Grant Williams can't stop the ball and catch it, and it goes out of bounds. And then the other one, Grant Williams just misses, and it goes into the 5th row. And, like, Grant Williams, come on. You're a professional basketball player. You should be able to catch a freaking basketball. I'm not in the NBA, and I can catch a basketball. Like, guys like that aggravate me.
That guy does frustrate me sometimes. I think that he's going to have a long career, but he frustrates me sometimes.
And then you see guys, too, like Pritchard. I think he's going to have a great career, but he's a rookie. Don't rely on rookies. Don't do it, because he has a game, 20 points a game, and everyone's like, oh, here it is. Payne Pritchard, the next good thing, and then all of a sudden, next game, 2 points. And that's expected from a rookie. I'm not going to get on Pritchard for that. Neesmith has had some solid games. He's had a definitely increase in minutes. And Robert Williams has been phenomenal the last couple games. I love what I'm seeing from him. I wanted to, bring in Capella. That's a guy I think would help us a lot. But with Rob Williams playing like this, put him in the starting lineup, please. Just put him in there because he's playing great. Ojale, too, is another one of those guys. Look at it. It's like we can upgrade from you. Like, we don't need you. Take Jeff Teague again. Teague, man, I'm sorry. I tried to defend you. I really did. I came on the podcast. He was my 6th man of the year. You guys remember that when I said that? I love the guy. I thought he was going to be great. He sucks. He's awful. I thought he would have a good role.
You give me any credit on that one?
No, I'll give you credit on that. You said that.
I gave you credit. I'll give Adam Taylor that.
Adam Taylor, yeah, he said that too. He said he didn't like Teague, and I thought he was a 6th man of the year candidate, but the guy's going to be playing.
That was your first mistake.
I was high on Teague.
Okay, so is it my turn yet to talk about the bench?
Yeah, shoot it.
I guess.
I think it's my turn to talk about the bench. First and foremost, I swear to God, like, I do not understand why Robert Williams is getting – yesterday's game was overtime, so this is a little different, whatever. 21 minutes for Robert Williams to Daniel Tice 39 minutes is absolutely insane to me. Like, the guy – maybe there's something missing that we don't know about Robert Williams. Maybe his hip is not 100%. They don't want to make another Isaiah Thomas mistake or something. But why is he not playing more minutes, dude? Anybody watching that game is their head spinning when they see some of this guy's plays that don't know basketball. I was watching the game with people that don't really know basketball, and they were saying, like, this guy is amazing, like, because they don't really know who Time Lord is. Us guys, we know what he's capable of, but we don't know about, like, does this guy have, like, not have a high motor or something? Why is he not playing, like, at least 30 minutes? See what we can get out of this kid. But I don't know. That gets me upset. Peyton Pritchard, he has not been the same since he came back from that injury. I don't know if something's bothering him. He just lost a little bit of his swagger. He's a rookie, and he looks like one. I don't know, the whole Grant Williams thing, him not playing yesterday, him playing I think he played in the win versus Atlanta, and he didn't play, and he did play in the loss versus Atlanta. I know that. But, like, it's just weird that a second-year player like him is, like, he goes from starting some games and then not even playing now. Like, did he, like, Brad not trust him against, like, their athletic bigs? I don't think anything was wrong with them yesterday.
Yeah, well, I mean, the sophomore slump's, like, real. And, like, as for Pritchard, like, the rookie wall, like, that's something most rookies, if not all, are going to hit.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's an easy cop-out, like, excuse or whatever, but just, like, they're just so young outside, like, a handful of players. Like, I think the oldest player is, like, Jeff Teague, and he's, like, 32 or something. Like, not that old, but very experienced still.
Yeah.
We talked about this briefly, but I want to get back to it. Like, the way this team is set up, like, they're going to be so young for the long duration and the long marathon that is a regular season, that I think there's enough talent on the team where they can put together these types of stretches like they had in the first half come playoff time, where it's just a sprint as opposed to a marathon. Like, I think they can put together a good enough run. It's just, if you get Kemba his win back under him, like, entering yesterday's game before he was shot 5 for 21, like, he was red hot. I think he was shooting, like, over 50% from three, 50% from the field, and, like, 24 points a game or something like that. Like, he looked like he was back, and maybe he'll get back on that hot streak come tomorrow night's game. And tonight was just another slump, but I'm not saying I'm ready to hit the panic button yet. Yeah, last night's collapse was just the first time that I'm going to acknowledge that the panic button is sitting in the room. I'm acknowledging its existence.
I do want to throw this out. So looking at the first half, the plus minuses for the bench, plus 32 in the first half, and then second half minus 24. That's like night and day, literally night and day.
We're literally 29th in bench scoring.
Bench is not good, but it's like we said, it's a young bench. What do you expect from a young bench? But also too,
I expected a lot more than they're producing, if you ask me. But at the same time, I also factored, like, a guy like Marcus Smart adding, like, 20 points a game off the bench and shit like that. But that's not happening right now with him out of the lineup. And I was thinking about it all day, like, because I do put a little bit of this on, like, health and stuff like that and fatigue of the guys. And I was thinking about Smart, and I feel as though that guy has missed significant time. Like, I feel like every season it's another thing with him, like, whether it be missing a playoff series or, like, missing a West Coast trip because he punched a picture off the wall. Like, it is what it is, but I don't know, like, is that what's holding us back? Because, like, these rough stretches, like, this is not good for the chemistry of a team. Like, I know I'm somebody, I always look at the bright side of things, and I do think that there's going to be better days. And it is cool to, like, do good when nobody's expecting it. Now that we're doing really bad, like, people are not going to expect us to do good, and I think we will, in my opinion. But
I think the other side of it, I was like, now you're seeing Marcus Smart's value. Like, like, we know he's not a scorer, but he's probably the best playmaker on the team. He doesn't put up a whole lot of points, but he creates looks for others.
I look at us as a couple, like, passionate fans over here. I know a lot of big diehard Celtics fans. But, bro, imagine how frustrated it must be watching the game if you're Smart right now at his house. Oh, my God.
Well, they're expecting he's going to miss through the All-Star break, so that's at least another week or two. So dude, it's no stretch you got to put together without him.
Dude, and not even that, but they say after the All-Star break. They don't say 1 week after. They don't say the day of. Like, it's probably going to be probably a month after that shit. I don't even know.
Maybe. But
the way our luck is. Anyways, talking about the All-Star game, let's get right into it. Unless Jake wanted to throw something in real quick.
I'll be on the Marcus Smart thing real quick. I mean, I've been a guy that has said you can move Marcus Smart for a lot of people, and I still believe that. I think if he were to play tomorrow night or next game, I don't think he's going to come in and solve all of your problems. I think he'll solve, a decent amount of the problems, but you're still what you are. I think you play what your best player is right now. And seeing Tatum yesterday, I think Tatum quit personally, watching that performance. And, Marcus Smart, as, you guys say what he want, backbone of the team, heart and soul. But if Tatum's going to quit in a game, I'm sorry, the entire team's going to quit.
Okay, but you want to talk about trading Smart, but now I know we're not getting like a Smart replacement out there per se, but like you're seeing them play without Smart, and this is what's happening. Granted, you can get a lot back from Marcus Smart, along with the exception, like the combination, but like you're getting what you're missing out.
You can get a lot back, but like who in the NBA right now do you like making $13 million or under? Like besides guys on rookie deals, that
production value.
Guys on rookie deals are not tradable in the NBA, in my opinion. So
exactly,
who do you think is gonna like come on this roster for $13 million a year and give us like a better boost than this guy?
No, I don't know if there is a guy that'll do that. That's why I said like Marcus Smart's there for the right deal. I'm not shopping Smart. Don't take that as I'm shopping Smart. But if a trade comes up, let's say like a very good solidified start in this league, if that trade comes up and they say we want Marcus Smart's on the table if it's for the right deal. I'm not going to trade Smart for nothing or to trade him just to trade him. But what I am saying is if that trade comes up, he's definitely on the table. There are only two players on this team I wouldn't trade, and it's Tatum and Brown. Anyone whose name doesn't start with a J is tradable, in my opinion.
Javonte Green safe is what you're saying?
J, not Juv.
Okay, segment 3. Let's talk about it. Tomorrow, we're going to find out who the All-Star selections are. Do you guys predict JT and JB both make it? Yes or no?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm going to pull this up real quick because, it's kind of one that always stuck with me. Last year, Brown got snubbed, right? We can all agree on that. And I was, when it happened, I was talking to Mike Gorman at one of the games. Yeah, remember that when we used to go to Celtics games? That was pretty cool. But anyways, I was talking to Mike Gorman at the game. And I said to him, why do you think Brown didn't make the game? And, Kemba and Tatum did at the time. And he told me, he said, the NBA isn't going to give the Celtics 3 All-Stars because they're not that good yet. They're not like the big 3 that the Celtics had with Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, and KG. They weren't that good yet. But this year, since Kemba Walker obviously won't be an All-Star game at all, I fully expect Tatum and Brown to both make it. And if they don't make it, that is the biggest snub for both of them.
No, I think you can.
I think you can guarantee it.
Yeah, I think at this point you can guarantee.
I will say this. I think Jaylen Brown definitely deserves to make it to the All-Star game. I think JT. I think that there could be a case for a lot of other guys ahead of him. I feel as though the Boston Celtics are sitting at 15-15 right now. I know it goes down to the coaches around the league that are going to choose this, and I feel as though Jason Tatum is now like a household name, so he is going to make the All-Star game. But a little piece of me, I kind of wish that he wouldn't make it. I kind of wish that Jaylen Brown, go ahead, make your first one. JT, stay home, bro. I do not think that it should be on his mind. He should be hungry to get better at basketball right now. He's very young. There's so many flaws in his game that I don't know. I don't want to dig him a grave right now. I love JT. I love his play, but he is such a frustrating star to watch. And for this guy to get to the next level, I think he just needs to work on his game a lot.
Yeah, Corey, I couldn't agree with you more. I think I'm kind of thinking like that too. Is Tatum really an all-star, or is we just saying that because he already made it and he's thought of as the future of the league? But thinking of that, that'd be a good. Hold on, that'd be a good narrative. Tatum misses the game, light a fighter under him, comes back, has a phenomenal second half. I would love to see that. I mean, that's someone definitely that could be a result of that, but it could be the opposite as well.
I mean, if I'm a Celtics fan, bro, and tomorrow we get the information that he didn't make it, and like other guys did, Sabonis is a good fight for that one of those last spots also, blah, blah. Like, I will not burn any houses down if Tatum doesn't make the All-Star game. That's for sure. It is what it is, bro. I really don't care about these individual achievements all that much. Like, it's cool. I'll be very proud of Jaylen Brown for his accomplishments, but I don't know. It is what it is. I'm chasing after those, bro. It's been far too long that we've been waiting for a real banner over here, man. Like, all that stuff is cool. And, yes, a little piece of me does root for players in that, and I do like the little things. But this year, like, COVID has impacted this year so much. Like, I feel as though, like, I don't even think the All-Star game should go on. So, yeah. That leads me to another question. Out of all the guys that do get selected, do you guys think anybody will say, I'm not going to go, I want to go rest? Do you think anybody will?
See, right now, I think the game's on March 3rd, so it's a little like over 2 weeks, I think, at this point now. 13 days to be exact now. But, actually, I don't know if that's right. But anyways, I think word would have come out already at this point. Like, they already announced the starters. I know there's obviously still time, but I feel like at this point it would have come out that someone like a big name like a Giannis or LeBron was gonna come out, and then it'd just be like a domino effect from there.
But you got to think, if they say that they don't want to go, then they didn't even get elected. Maybe these players care about, okay, I'll get elected and then I'll opt out after I get elected, because this is a big part of their career. So if I'm their agent, I wouldn't tell them to opt out now. But I feel as though we're going to find out the whole team tomorrow. I wouldn't be shocked if one or two guys, fan base would not disrespect the player if they come out and say, like, hey, like, I really want to focus on my game right now. I want to stay home with my family right now. I don't think it's smart to go down there. Nobody would look at a guy in a bad light. I feel like that would.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, no, I don't think anyone should go.
At least one guy's going to do it. I think that one guy tomorrow or the next day. We'll see.
I think they're waiting to hear the result, because that affects your contract as well. And coming out and saying before the voting ended that, okay, yeah, I'm not going to go to the All-Star game, even if I get selected, it's kind of shooting yourself in the foot, because these All-Star games can dictate, especially for these younger guys, can dictate how much money you get paid when you come off your rookie deals or you come off that that second contract that you get. So I don't think anyone would do that. But I don't think the game should happen, period. I mean, it's just not smart to take the entire league, put it in one position, one city, one game in the middle of a pandemic. Like, I know they get tested and they're smart about it, but it's not smart.
And to add on to that, the NBA said, like, oh, we don't want all these parties, this, that. Dude, all the promoters and clubs, they're already starting to advertise. Every single club in Atlanta is going to be packed. It's going to be a wild weekend over there. They said that, Adam Silver said it, fans don't come over here. All the fans are already going there. It is what it is.
Yeah, it's going to be a mess. I do want to talk about, though, real quick, Corey, like an alternative to this is the NFL. They did a virtual All-Star game, and they played it on Madden. And, yeah, it was probably a little corny, not going to lie, but if it's better than having a Pro Bowl, especially with how the Pro Bowl is right before the big game on, the Super Bowl. So the NFL did something really good. They recognized the players. They said, this guy's the Pro Bowl, this guy isn't, all the way through. So people still got the recognition, but at the same time, too, they were also safe about it and didn't have the game and, possibly have a huge outbreak.
But you also got to compare the NBA All-Star game, which, in my opinion, maybe I'm biased, is probably the best All-Star game.
Oh, it is. I don't know if it's the best.
And the Pro
it's
Bowl
the biggest.
Is probably the worst.
Yeah, you could probably say that, but I would say whether it's better, which one's
NBA,
better.
NBA way up here, bro. Different leagues. I wouldn't even talk about the Pro Bowl.
Well, I won't say no. It's like the NBA is definitely better, but saying that too, would you rather sacrifice the playoffs in the second half of your season possibly to have one All-Star weekend?
I definitely hear you on that, and obviously the league knows, but they also know how much money it generates for the league, and that's such a big deal. Like, that, NBA fans are going to be born that day. I feel like people that don't really follow the league, that they're over their friend's house for that All-Star Saturday night. Everybody's on quarantine, so they're doing small whatever. Everybody's going to watch that. Anyways, bro, segment 4, the offseason that the Boston Celtics had this year was absolutely abysmal, disgusting. We had 2 players have surgery, Kemba Walker and Romeo Langford. Kemba Walker has been a shell of himself. I'm giving him time, but that has looked to have been rough. Romeo Langford was supposed to be back in January from the first thing initially. I don't know when we're going to see that guy. That's my guy that I'm holding out hope for that might save the Boston Celtics, because he was like supposedly coming out of high school, one of the like number one players in the whole country, and then since then he's been riddled with a couple injuries, this, that. I don't know if his game is going to translate to the league. We'll see. Anyway,
I mean, he showed flashes. He showed flashes last year, and we used him like in the bubble and the playoffs for a little bit. But I do agree that he has the upside to be a bigger part of this core than people kind of maybe realize just because of the small sample size. I think he's played like just barely over 30 games. I think 32 is what I saw.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm honestly, bro, I'm looking at little things like that as like my hope in this team, and I think that a guy like him could turn all this fan base upside down if he comes in and like he's our Gordon Hayward last year. That's all he needs to be, and then we're good. And from what a lot of these people that know the kid and know his play, they say that this kid could play lockdown defense, and I don't know if he could shoot. We'll see about that. But
yeah, yes, he's a freak of nature athlete and a good defender, but I don't think he can put the Hayward expectations on him right away.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
at all.
Anyways, I'm going first on this one too. So the other two acquisitions this year, the draft, we could hit on the draft. I feel like that's way too early to judge that offseason right there. But the two acquisitions, Jeff Teague on a $2.5 million deal, that has been absolutely disgusting. I feel as though the guy is unplayable. I feel as though I don't know what the hell the Celtics were thinking. And do you think this guy is even like, damn, did my microphone come undone?
No, you're good.
You're good now.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Basically, Jeff Teague, like, do you think all the criticism he's getting around the league, like around Celtics Nation, is worth $2 million to him? Do you think that it is? I feel like this guy's name is getting dragged through the mud this year because of his play. I feel bad for the guy.
I mean, I think we overvalued him heavily. Teague has not been good. I mean, like I said, I thought he's going to be a Sixth Man of the Year candidate when it was all said and done. I thought he was a plug-and-play guy. I think a lot of it also has to do with because he had a good preseason. I don't want to discredit him. He had a solid preseason and a solid first couple of games. But I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that Pritchard came out and played so well that he kind of got overshadowed a little bit, and then he got into a slump, and it really killed him. I don't see him. I don't know if he'll bounce back. I don't think he will, especially with how many guards on the team. I mean, you got to think is Kemba, Brown, Smart, Pritchard, Langford if he comes back, and then Carson Edwards, who Brad seems to love this year. Draymond, there's a ton of guards on this team.
So I'm not ready to say that like Teague is just unplayable for the future. Like he's just gonna be at the end of the bench. Like I think that he has like just the right amount of experience and just like career like duration. Just that he can be sort of like a plug and play, but I think he embodies who you think Marcus Smart is, Jake, in the sense that he does too much when he shouldn't be. Like Marcus Smart does that also, I agree, like to a degree. But like you see with Jeff Teague, like he's running at the rim off like a pick and roll, and he's like firing a floater, which is just a line drive right to the front rim and just bounces off his face. Like just plays like that are just where the ball dies.
I know the exact one you're talking about. And let me end my thoughts on the off season with Tristan Thompson. He was supposed to come here and be like a defender that was easy to switch on to guys, this, that. He's allowing a true shooting percentage of 60% to guards, 66% to forwards, and 76% to centers. Absolutely disgusting, and I'm not happy with that signing at all. And I thought he would add rebounding. The difference between him on the court and him off the court, the rebounding, is literally less than 2%. 51% with him and 50.8 without him. It's garbage. He has not done anything to make me happy with him. And I'm going to get off him after the last couple games. He's actually not been horrendous, but I'm going to go as far as saying this. He signed for that 9.5 MLE, and that is the reason why the Boston Celtics are hard capped right now. So they can't go over the luxury tax because of Tristan Thompson coming here. And obviously when he first signed here, I thought the guy had a little bit left in the tank and he was going to bring a lot. Instead, I feel as though he's just another Jared Sullinger to us. And yeah, the Boston Celtics cannot use the TPE this year because of Tristan Thompson signing. They can't use the full thing this season until the summertime. And yeah, I attribute it to Tristan Thompson, and I'm pissed off.
Yeah, I mean, I just felt like we overvalued him a little bit too, Corey. I agree with what you're saying. I don't hate him though. I don't think he's awful. I mean, I like playing him. I like what he's done a little bit. Obviously, I expected a lot more from him, but I mean, I guess it is what it is, right? I mean, we're Celtics fans. We always overvalue players, always.
One thing that could shut me up, and we could comment on the court stuff, and that's all I'm doing. It looks like that guy is a good locker room guy, and he's probably having fun behind scenes, whatever. I don't know. Like, all I'm making this on is, like, what I see, and I thought he was going to come over here and be a beast. Instead, he pisses me off when he plays sometimes.
Yeah, but he is a former NBA champion, and I think everybody said about, like, the playoffs, like, come playoff time, like, that will be important. And when we did get Teague and Thompson, like, I looked at it as last year we had Brad Wanamaker and Enes Kanter. I think Jeff Teague, I don't think it's a stretch to say, but Jeff Teague and Tristan Thompson are huge upgrades over those two in some way, shape, or form, despite Teague's just inefficient play.
I do want to add on to the offseason.
I want Brad Wanamaker.
He hasn't.
I want Isaiah Thomas.
Well, we can get to that another day, another episode, but I did want to touch on one more point of topic. And this offseason, you lost Gordon Hayward, right? You got the TPE form, I understand that. But right now, you lost Gordon Hayward and got nothing back because the TPA hasn't been used yet, right? So you've basically given up Gordon Hayward to free agency, right? And that is a huge loss for the Celtics right now. You got to take that into account.
You're literally talking about something that if they don't use this, like, the Celtics will be the worst franchise in, like, all four major sports. They're going to use this, so they're going to get somebody.
Yes, but right now, as of February 22nd, 2021, they did not use it, and that is hurting them a lot.
If anything, you say it sucks, like, they're in a tough position, but number one, the trade deadline hasn't passed, so they could still use it right there. Number two, like, they can't even use the full amount until this summer, so maybe they wait it out and see who's better available right there. Either way, you can't control Gordon Hayward. Maybe you can control, like, maybe they mismanaged his injury or something and he had something bitter against the team or something like that. But at the end of the day, bro, free agents leave teams all the time. When he left Utah, they didn't get anything. But they did get lucky with Donovan Mitchell coming out of that draft. Maybe Gordon leaving, we got lucky and we got Peyton Pritchard coming out of the draft. Look at it like that. That's a stupid take maybe, but I'm just saying, I don't think that you could judge Hayward leaving and call it a complete L before we see what that TPE becomes. That could bring in a player that's under contract for like 3 more years that maybe we wouldn't have gotten free agency, but we're getting him because he's in a situation that he doesn't like, you know?
No, I know what you're saying, Corey. I 100% know where you're coming from, but as I'm saying, right now and everything past right now, it's been a huge loss, and I don't think you can just discredit that. I know they're going to use it at some point. It's going to depend who they use it for and what happens with that TPE. But right now, they have not used it, and you've basically lost Gordon Hayward for nothing. Will they use it? Of course, but they haven't yet.
And they paid a second-round pick too, right?
Ooh, a second-round pick? We got that?
I think it was like a top 55 protected. I'm not even kidding.
Oh, wonderful.
Like... All right, anyways, leading us into the last topic right here. The latest on the TPE talk. Do you guys see anybody suitable right now, like that they should go get? Keep in mind, they cannot use the entire thing because they are hard capped, and like a trade going out, it might, like, if anybody says like a big player, like it could have to involve like Marcus Smart or something. So a lot of the trades that people are saying, to me, like, I just completely shut the door. Like, how are you going to do that without losing this guy or this lockdown defender in the playoffs against this team? It is what it is. What do you guys think the TPE, and what will this tell you that Danny Ainge is doing at the trade deadline too?
I think the big prize would be a player like Harrison Barnes, who isn't quite a star, but it's like that third or fourth option that you can plug in just to be that last bit of extra scoring that will prevent those 24-point collapses, and you can get that bit of scoring where nights like Kemba and Jalen are off, and you can't just fully rely on Jason Tatum. I think that'd be the best prize out there. He doesn't take up the full $28 million exception, but just I know the Kings have been playing better of late, so I don't know if they want to hold on to him or not, or if they want to sell high. But I think realistically, like
Harrison Barnes has had an abysmal last 5 games.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So maybe that flame might have faded out. I still think the guy would come to a very good contending team and play very good.
I mean, you saw in Golden State. I mean, he was like the fourth, third option on that team, on those teams. Granted, that was a long time ago, but I think realistically, like, I'm thinking that like glass half empty. Like you're looking at maybe like a PJ Tucker or someone like that. Like still a valuable player. I would too. That's what I'm saying. Like it's like he might not help with scoring right away, but like 3-point shooting efficiency, defense, just like veteran presence. So for a young bench, like it's still positives, but you got to weigh both ends of the spectrum between the best and the worst.
I think Barnes is definitely it's probably my number one option for the Celtics to use the TPE right now. Capella's up there too. I've always been a big Clint Capella fan. I just think it's a solid center. But one of the things too I'm thinking about is I mentioned earlier in the podcast that right now they have the 7.
Why go get Clint Capella when you have Robert Williams, who we all like have an affection for, and we think that? I'm being honest with you, bro. I say it to a bunch of people. I think the players on this team that have the potential to stay here a long time and be very good, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Robert Williams, and now I really like Peyton.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, those 4 players, I really like those a lot, and that's why I wouldn't go after. Anyway,
and that's my big point about all this. That's my huge – I may interrupt any of you, but, like, that's my major point. Like, Jason Tatum's 22. Jaylen Brown's 24. Like, we have them for the next 4, 5, 6 years from now. Like, what's the rush in 2021 in a season with no fans, a shortened season, where all the other teams in the East, aside from maybe Philly with Embiid and Simmons, who are still very young, like, they're all, like, approaching 30 or on the wrong side of 30. Like, why does 2021 have to be championship or bust? Like, yeah, you want to see them compete, and you're looking at individual success from these people. I'm going to go on a spiel here. I don't care.
We're Boston sports fans. Everybody thinks this year's championship year every year, dude.
Like, you already saw Jaylen Brown take this massive leap, and I don't want to call that success in and of itself because that's kind of sad to make that the bar to leap. But that's huge for, like, a team like this where I'm not going to freak out, a 24-point loss stinks. Like, I'm not going to freak out over a loss on a Sunday night in February more than I need to be.
Well, my thing with Capella, and then I'm going to move on to my next point, is that he's just another guy to bring in. I think would you rather have, Tristan and Daniel Tice, or would you rather have Capella? And then Rob Williams gets more minutes because now it's only 2 guys instead of 3. That's another thing I look at too. Another guy for Rob to look at too. He has playoff experience, just stuff like that, right? So that's how I look at Capella. I like Rob Williams though. I really do. I think he's going to be great. But the one thing that concerns me with the TPE, if you hold out till the offseason, how does Jaylen Brown and Tatum take this? Because I could totally see the two of them saying, you just wasted a year. You wasted a season for me. Because this was a season that we needed one more piece possibly to do something, and you didn't get it. We both had great years. We're both the best duo in the East. And right now, I feel like they wasted a season. And I feel like Brown and Tatum could totally spin it like that. Like, you wasted a season. You didn't do everything in your power to make sure that we could win a championship. And that would
go first. You go first, Corey.
This, in my opinion, Jake, this is totally my opinion, and I could be wrong. But, bro, after Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum signed those huge-ass contracts, bro, it was apparent to this organization that those 2 guys are the cornerstones of their franchise. I think, in my opinion, before the NBA draft, the Celtics brass got together with Jason and Jaylen, and I think they're a part of a lot of these decisions. In my opinion, I think the Celtics went to Jaylen and Jason and said, do you guys want to play with Miles Turner? Do you guys want to play with Doug McDermott? And I have a feeling that those 2 guys had a little bit to say in their opinion and their word. It does hold weight because nobody's better at seeing talent than the guys on the floor. And these guys are forming a lot of relationships around the league, and they're doing it the right way. I think that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are a part of a lot of the Celtics' intermediate, changes. And they're going to pick the guys that they want to play with going forward. And if some of them are on the roster and they're developing right now, we're going to see it in the future. But those two guys, I feel as though those guys are going to make the decision going forward. A lot of them anyways.
Yeah, like to touch on your point. Yeah, to touch on your point, Jake, you say like how maybe Tatum and Brown are just like outraged and like are gonna want to trade trade.
Got 3 minutes. Wrap it up. Let's go.
All right. Okay. Well,
you good.
Anyways, you're saying how Brown and Tatum are gonna like want to demand a trade or whatever. Like Tatum is literally on his rookie deal this year. They pay less than $10 million. Like that's not even like a. He's not even into his big supermax deal yet. Like I think it's pump the brakes a bit on that, but I'm not worried big picture. I think right now, more than anything else, it just stinks to watch this team kind of underwhelm when they can be playing a lot better.
I definitely think, not even so much for the Tatum Brown thing, that's something like I kind of thought of as something that could happen. Not saying it will, but it could happen. But if they don't use the TPE, you have to realize that Danny Ainge realized that there was nothing out there that would make them better and that they're not there yet. And therefore, the season wasn't what we thought it would be, and we overvalued it. And that's something that's going to be proven if the TPA isn't used at the deadline. And I'm also not saying to force it either. If it's not there, don't force it. But I will say this, though, because, we're all, the journalists on the podcast, is that if you don't use a TPA and we get another year of, we were close to getting him. We were very close. We almost pulled the trigger on this deal, but we didn't because with the Celtics. We didn't do it. I'll come out and say something because that's been the story for way too long of stuff like we almost did it, but we decided not to. And that's been the story of Celtics trade deadlines for the last 5-6 years.
I mean, at the same time, like, you just got to look at things like with a positive perspective, and we're going to be able to see what direction this team is going in on trade deadline day. When we look at the roster, we're going to say, hey, I think that we might be one buyout guy away from competing this year, or we might be mailing it in and trying to get like a 7 or 8 seed, bro. That's literally what I'm looking at right now. And if I'm the Celtics, I try to get a lot out of the young guys, and I take a little bit of miles off of Jalen and Jason going towards the long stretch of the season, like after the All-Star break. Like, dude, the way that the injuries are on this team, bro, if something happens to one of those guys, like, I'll be devastated. Like, we cannot afford an injury like we've sustained, like, time after time after time with this team. The Hayward injuries getting old, the Smart injuries. Like, obviously, I'm talking about luck and basketball gods when I talk about this, but, dude, the health has not been on our side whatsoever, and that's what we need best. And, yeah, I'm 100% cool with what Reid said about letting this ride out and let's compete for a championship when fans are back in the arena. So set us up right now for next year and the year after and the year after that. If I'm Danny Ainge, like, I would literally not mail it into this year, but I would try a lot less than I was, in my opinion. But I do want a little piece at the deadline. I want somebody coming to the team that's going to help.
I'm not saying mail it in. Yeah, I'm definitely not saying mail it in. Just
no, I'm not saying tankathon, and I know Jake brought that up too. I'm just saying like get these guys on like minute restrictions. Jalen and Jason, like 25 minutes a game, 30, even 30 is too much. Chill with them and wait until the playoffs, like LeBron does every year that he steams through every freaking round when he was in the East.
Yeah.
We wrapping it up, boys?
I think we hit everything.
I think that was a really good podcast. We all got our points across. I could literally, like, right now is a good time to talk about the Celtics because nobody wants to talk about them when they're doing bad. So I would rather talk about them now, and I will still enjoy them like they are. And it sucks to watch these games. I get disappointed. Maybe I wasted 3 hours on a couple guys that might not care or might care. I don't know. But I still love the Boston Celtics.